No matter where you're paying, every time you get your wallet out, you seem to be paying much more than you ever did for the very same things. The cost of living is definitely going up, and it's time you got smart with your money. Hello and welcome to this episode of Smart Money. Here's what you'll be taking away from this episode. Lalit wants to buy an apartment in a year's time. Can he afford it? Well, we'll find out. You're above 60 and you need money for daily expenses. Reverse mortgage, that could be the way out. Meet Suketu Parekh. He's retired rich and he's pursuing his passion now. Find out how he did it. The cost of living may be going up, but it doesn't stop us from wanting the exact same things, perhaps even more than what we always wanted. Lalit wants an apartment and he wants it in a year's time. He's 24 years old now, and the one question that's holding him back from buying that apartment is, can I afford it?
I'm Lalit Tiwari, a marketing major. I've done my MBA from ICFI Gurgaon and I'm working with SBI Life. I'm staying in a 1 BHK with 3 of my roommates, and I have small room, small kitchen, small hall. So looking forward to buy a house 1 year down the line somewhere in Noida, because getting a house in Mumbai, of course, a big task, a huge task. Approximately a house will cost something 75 to 80 lakhs. Down payment of 30 lakh by my dad. Need to arrange for another 50 lakhs. Let's see how the things work out.
An apartment for Lalit in a year's time. Is it going to be possible? Here's what he has to bring to the table right now. Lalit takes home a salary of 34,000 rupees every month. His monthly expenses are 20,000 rupees. His investments in mutual funds add up to 60,000, while his investments in ULIPs are worth 63,000 rupees. So with all that on the table, Lalit's wondering if he can afford that apartment that he's been dreaming about. We put him in touch with our financial expert Karthik Jhaveri, and here's what he has to say about Lalit's portfolio.
At the outset, the way I see the assets, I see that there is not too many assets to work with. I see a risk in terms of pressure on income and salary, even if a financier agrees. I don't think a financier would really agree to finance on the possibility of a future income. At best, it just might be managed, but the 1 year option is not the most viable option to go with.
1 year's time is looking slightly difficult as far as Karthik Jhaveri is concerned and his assessment of the situation as far as Lalit's dream is concerned. Difficult, but not impossible. Let's see what Karthik Jhaveri has in store for Lalit.
What we're looking is at purchase of a home. We've got 1 year's time for that. Do you have an estimate of what it'll cost you?
Well, I'm looking for a house somewhere in North India, in Delhi NCR.
Okay.
It costs somewhere 75 to 80.
Let's stick to a budget of 75 odd lakhs.
Perfect.
Now, against that, of course, we know 25 is going to come from your father, which means we've got to organize for as much as 50 lakhs.
Yeah.
One is the affordability of a 50 lakh loan. The other is the capability to service that EMI for a 50,000 amount. Okay. And third, whether this entire thing is really viable and whether it's going to make sense in a year's time.
Okay. Yeah.
If you buy a under construction property, then you have some advantages. One, it may be possible.
Yeah.
Second, your income might go up over the years. I mean, we shall take a 10 to 15% assumption, which means the lender may be willing to look at that situation.
Right.
But it's only maybe, A lot of lenders will not look at a situation where they will not think it to be really viable. So that said, you run a little bit of risk there, right? Even if, for example, you think that, let's say the property comes on time, the delivery risk is the fourth risk that you have. There are too many ifs and buts in the way, and there's a bit of risk in the whole process, you see. So we will have to do something else. I mean, are you willing to look at probably expanding the time or considering some other alternative options?
The second option can be, again, postponing your purchase for maybe next 3 years.
Which is what my option 2 really is, As soon as you wait for 2 or 3 years, automatically the assets that you will have, which is the monthly investments that you're doing, even the ELSs that you've done will become open and available. So net, you're likely to have as much as 7 to 8 lakhs. if you just wait for 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Now that's pure cash or near cash, let's call it that way. The second thing, obviously your EMI has gone up. The lenders will be more willing to look at a situation like that, saying that, okay, in another 18 months after about 2 years, you will be in a position to, service the full EMI. So that's really option 2 for you.
I want to make up a mix of increasing the initial amount also and postponing my purchase also.
Okay.
That can be one of the options, liable options.
Let's take another option. Option number 3, that you buy the house when you actually need the house.
Okay.
Maybe when you're going to think about getting settled in life and you're getting married, and that's probably at least 4 to 5 years ahead.
Yeah, at least 4 years.
I would think so. If you were willing to wait for 4 years, then that in my view is one of the best things you can do. Right now, I think all the money can be deployed to create more wealth for you. So at the end of maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years, you're sitting on a sizable chunk of money. 4-year time is a very, very comfortable time. And that will give you enormous amount of options.
Okay, then coming to 4 years, if I right now postpone the idea of buying a house, but I want to go ahead with investment. I mean, including both things. You take, tax saving and real investment, so that I can better return. So what can be a good portfolio in that case?
So Karthik has convinced Lalit to wait for slightly longer than a year to realize that dream of buying an apartment. Let's see what else Karthik has planned for Lalit.
In the interim, you can continue your tax planning investments. You can invest aggressively into equities. I would also suggest that you start investing in direct equity shares. Okay, buy some blue chip companies, hold them for 4 or 5 years, you'll get handsome returns. I mean, not only mutual funds, look at that as well. With regard to insurance, I would say don't get very aggressive in insurance, because right now you don't have liabilities and responsibilities on you. Even if you just assume a 15% growth of your income and maybe a 5 to 8% growth in your expenses, then your income from 34 will become to almost 60,000.
Right.
Your saving potential will almost double or more than double.
Yeah.
And which means I'm looking at a situation where you'll be holding almost 13 to 14 lakhs of, at worst case scenario, you'll be having that much of money yourself.
Yeah.
If your spouse is working, that will be more liquidity support to you in terms of servicing a home loan EMI.
As according to your option, 4 years is the right time, because that time you require a house.
Absolutely. And that would be the best thing to do.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.